Okay, so this is a stove. As you can see, let's zoom back out a bit here. It's basically a big steel box with a glass window. It's a bit sooted over at the minute, so you can't really see what's inside, in behind it even. So I'll open her up nice and gently because I don't want to fill the room full of smoke. And there she blows. And if I open the door on the bottom of it here, that will let air in underneath it, and it should start to actually, the fire should start to grow. Now it'll grow exponentially if I close this door over. Because now what's starting to happen is air has been sucked in down here because the heat of the fire is rising and it's going up out the chimney, up through that pipe there basically that goes straight into the chimney, up out of the roof of the house. And when that door is open, it means more air can flow through here. And the more air that goes through, you can see it actually through it's starting to burn off the soot in the glass. And if I close it over and open this up now, you'll see the difference it's made already. Okay, so if I really want to stoke up this fire, I'll just open up this bottom door here and it's instant. I don't know if you can get the sound of it, or maybe when we open up the door here, you'll notice it as well. So that's it with the door closed. You see, it's less extreme. When the big door is open, the majority of air that's going up the chimney is coming in here and not down there. But if I close this over, now all the air is being sucked out of down here and it's going up through the fire and it's really feeding the fire and literally fanning the flames. But anyway, that's a stove. And my son is very familiar with the stove. These are the buckets of coal that we basically chuck into it. And it gets hot and heats up the room, like a big radiator. This thing here spinning in the top then, that's actually a freestanding thing. That I took that out of a box and just sat it there. It's not plugged in, it's not wired, there's nothing to do with it. It's just sitting there. And what's making it spin is actually the heat. And it blows air that would otherwise be trapped in here, blows it out into the room. But anyway, Shin-Ei, that's a solid fuel stove. Now you'll notice on the back of it here, there's a pipe there and a pipe there. I'm not sure which is which. That orange thing that's on it there, that's a thermostat. So without getting into too much details, there's a back boiler on this stove unit. And what that means is those pipes feed my radiators. So it goes through the wall, under the floor, and up to feed this radiator. And from there, it goes under the ground, up out of the ground into this. So the water basically flows up that up that pipe, up and down, 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 back down into the ground. Then it presumably goes underneath here and feeds this radiator. It comes up through here, through it, into the pipe that goes down. And you'll notice on most, if not all radiators, there's an in and an out feed. So there's a pipe going in and there's a pipe going out. And they're all linked up together. So all the radiators in the house are linked up in one way or another. Okay? As you can see with all these, pipe going up, pipe going down. And they're all linked in together basically. So basically what happens is the water in those pipes gets heated up because there's pipes in the back of this firebox, call it. And as the water gets superheated, it gets pumped around the house. And when I say around the house, I mean through the pipes and up into the different radiators. And I was explaining all this to my young lad, Fionn, and he was all excited about it, going, okay, right, trying to get his head around it all. And that was grand. And then I said to him, Fionn, so that's what heats our house. That's what keeps your bedroom warm at night. The fire in our sitting room. That's what keeps it warm. I said, okay, right. And I explained to him then that there was actually another box like that one there that we have that has a burning fire in it. And he was there thinking for a while and he couldn't really put his finger on it. And I was like, think of a big box that we have somewhere in the house, dude, that could have a big fire in it that heats the house. And he couldn't fucking think of it. And I go, think about it, buddy. I go, I'll give you a clue. It's not in the house. And he was like, right. And he goes, so it's outside. And I go, yeah. And I go, think about what's outside. And he was thinking about it for a while. Realization, oh fuck. Well, he didn't say oh fuck. But he goes, oh, is it the big box? And I go, what big box? It was the big box at the side of the house. So, all right, Deefer. All right, Token. What Fionn was talking about was this thing. That's a diesel burner. Forget about that other thing here. That's a rat trap. But this big brown thing is a diesel burner. And that's basically just a big exhaust pipe. And I said, we don't shove buckets of coal in this thing. And he goes, okay. And I go, so where do you think it gets its fuel from? And he goes, I don't know. And I go, I'll give you a clue. That's a liquid that it burns. It's not like sticks or coal. It's a liquid. And I go, where would you keep a big liquid? And I go, there's a pipe coming out of the bottom of this thing, and you can see it there. That white pipe goes down under the ground, goes all the way down here, all the way, and pops up here. And you might have one of these in your house somewhere, or something similar, and that's full of diesel or kerosene or whatever. Or maybe you have a big tank, like a cylinder tank that has gas in it. And that box works on the exact same principle as the burner in the house, as the big firebox, the solid stove fire that we have. The exact same principle. It's got a fuel source. Its fuel source is kerosene or diesel or natural gas or something like that. And it basically burns a big giant fire. And same principle applies. Hot water comes in one side, out the other side, and it gets pushed around through all the radiators. And as it goes in and out of all the radiators in the house, it cools it down. Because the radiators are hot and that heat goes into the room, the radiator gets progressively colder. So the water that comes back into the fire, either of them, the actual solid fire that's in the sitting room or the diesel burner that's outside, whichever one it comes out of, it goes back into a cooler and then gets heated again, and it goes round in a loop and a loop and a loop and a loop. That's why it takes a while for your house to heat up. And you'll notice that if you actually pay attention to where the radiators are located, radiators will get warmer quicker than other radiators, because the ones that are closer to your burner will get hotter quicker. In most people's houses, you'll also have something like this. And this is basically just a hot water tank. And all these pipes, so that pipe there is one of the pipes going into my fire in my sitting room, and that's another one. Now, I don't understand all the fucking complicated fucking mess of pipes in here. I'm sure it's not that complicated, but I don't understand it, and I don't need to understand it because I get the basics. This here is just basically a big tank of water. That's all it is. It's just a big tank of water. This here is just insulation. So the tank is a copper cylinder made out of the same material as this copper pipe, but it's covered in this insulation to keep it hot. So when you turn on the hot water or the immersion, you might have an electric switch, something like that, or something like this thing up here. And when you flick that on, it's usually called an immersion. There's an element in the bottom of this big tank, exactly the same way there's an element in the bottom of your kettle. So when you flick on your kettle, an element, which is just an electrical thing that heats up when you run electricity through it, it gets super hot and it boils your kettle. Well, it's exactly the same thing in here. This is basically like a big giant insulated kettle. So you turn on the immersion and it will heat up the water inside it. Now, most houses will have either a solid burner like the fire I have in my sitting room, or they'll have that big box that's out the back, a diesel burner. And both of them will heat the water in this tank. And that's how you have a shower, say. And that's why in Ireland, at least, you'll often hear people your mum giving it, oh, you left the fucking immersion on, blah, 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 the fucking ESP bill be through the roof, blah, 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 blah. And they were fucking right. If you went off and left that fucking thing on over the weekend, it'd be the same as leaving the kettle on over the weekend. And that'd fucking cost you an arm and a leg. And if you were there using all that hot water and making use of it, that'd be one thing. But if you're just boiling it for the crack, that'd be another thing. So that's basically my home heating system. Myself and Fionn were chatting about it the other day, and I thought it'd be a good idea for an episode. And on that note, I'll chat to you soon.